Welcome to Living Culture, everyone. I'm your host, Nate Raffin. Today on the show we have Steve Morton of Morton's Bistro in West Salem, and we're at Fit Seafood Market on 12th Street. What do you have planned for today?
Well, Nate, thanks again for having me on Living Culture. I thought today we might check with Rod Purdy, a friend of mine who owns Fit Seafood, to find out if we could get something regional and environmentally friendly to cook up for lunch.
Great.
And I also have heard a rumor that there's suspected white truffles in that shop, so we might be able to talk to Mike the man about some truffles.
Sounds good.
Great.
Let's roll.
Head on in there.
Yeah. Rod. Nate.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you,
Sir.
sir.
Steve.
Hey,
Pleasure.
Rod.
You guys know each other.
Fish handshake.
I chilled last night a bottle of Spanish sparkling cava, and I thought we'd look for something that we could serve with that was seasonally available to us. And also, I have a friend here, Mike, who's a truffle hunter, and he introduced me some beautiful white truffles here a few weeks ago, and we've been playing with that. So we thought we'd check with Rod today and see if there's a product here that he thought might work well with that wine and that truffle product.
Sure. Let's see. We do have a wild Russian scallop called a diver scallop, and they actually go down, hand pick the scallops out of the bottom. Bring them back up to a ship that will process them. They shuck them and individually freeze them immediately, and then after they're frozen, they size them and bag them. So this is an item that highly sustainable, clear, clean water, hand picked, sweet. Generally, scallops come with a 20-25% trisodium phosphate solution. So when you cook them, it releases all that fluid, a little bit bitter. But this is actually a scallop only, nothing on it except the scallop itself, and so you get to taste the actual flavor.
Well, what do you think a portion for us will be? 3 scallops, possibly?
I think three
large.
Right around a half pound, 6 to 8 ounces each.
Awesome. Any truth to the rumor that there's some white truffles around the shop this morning?
Let's see. There probably is.
Mike, the truffle man! Nate, we bought a little flying fish roe to Pico, and we're going to use that as a garnish on the scallops, simply because we have those beautiful white alabaster scallops, and these are kind of fun, used commonly in sushi. They pop and kind of saline flavor with a certain amount of pop and texture, which would create almost a double sensory in the flavor and the sound. Anyway, the color will play off that white in our dish. It'll be excellent. To Pico. How long have you been out here, Rod? About over a year now. A year next month? Yeah. And I was riding my bicycle out one day from work to my house, and they were looking for a location, and I rode by this, and I went, hey! So I called them on my cell phone. Didn't even get off the bike. And they came out, I think, a couple weeks later, looked at it, and boom.
And we're finding that South Salem folks just didn't like the bridge, wouldn't come over, unless it was a really special occasion. We thought we were really busy in West Salem. We had no idea.
This dish is going to have such a cool sensory profile. It's going to have the exploding Topeka roe. It'll have the truffles shaved in. It has some parsnips that are going to steam, and we're going to call it double truffle scallops. And they're going to be great.
Double truffle scallops.
Served with a little sparkling cava. Can't get any better than that. The salts and the flavors with the sparkling wine just will explode.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, Mike, tell us what we have here.
These are considered an Oregon white truffle, and there's a couple truffles that are considered the Oregon whites, and I'm lucky enough to have found some. I understand they're quite difficult for some people to find.
Those are beautiful. How long have you been hunting them?
I've been on the internet looking, researching and stuff for about a month before I even tried digging them, and I started digging them about a month and a half ago. And first time out, I actually found one, and it won.
Won.
Yes. And now it's a little easier to find them because now I know what I'm looking for.
But this essentially represents like a day of work for you, does it? I mean, of out digging and hunting for...
Actually, if you get in a good area, You can find twice that many under a tree.
Wow. Are you going to be able to part with a couple of these today? Or?
Oh, sure.
Awesome.
I'll let you have
Well, we think we'll memorialize you in our dish. We're doing a dish called double truffle scallops with parsnips and cream.
No names or locations, though.
No, we're going to keep all that secret. That's the next show.
Yeah.
Hey, just a thought. 12th Street Saturday Market's open right now, and it's just across the street. Why don't we head over there and see if we can find anything inspirational to cook up this morning?
Yeah, let's do it.
Bingo. Should we head on in and see what we can find?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Light improvisation. Professor Rath. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You're on Living Culture.
Well, that's nice.
Awesome. Well, Michael sent us over from Fitz to say hi to you. We're doing a dish this morning called double truffle diver scallops. And we've acquired some white truffles from Michael's hunts, and we're putting them up together on a dish. But he attributed a lot of his knowledge and expertise to you, so we stopped by to say hi. What do we have today? We've got white truffles and hedgehogs, huh?
Baby truffles and week-old hedgehogs.
How's the picking been lately? It's been pretty cold.
You can't get out of the driveway.
With the hedgehog mushrooms in hand, we're ready to go back to Steve's kitchen and cook ourselves some lunch.
Well, Nate, we've devised a dish that we're going to call double truffle diver scallops with creamed parsnips, and we have our ingredients here lined up. And without any further ado, I'll go ahead and launch into the process here. We've got our truffle salt, we've got our Tobacco roe that we acquired at Fitz, we've got our white truffle from Mike the Truffle Man, we've got some star anise, some beautiful Russian diver scallops, parsnips, hedgehog mushrooms, a little onion, little arugula, a little cream, little cut butter, fresh cut butter, and some citrus. Starting our steamer, and we'll put some aromatics in the steamer. We're going to pre-cook our parsnips and a little bit of onion. We're going to take a little bit of this onion and use it for its aromatic quality, along with some star anise. We're going to drop that into our steamer. And we're also going to add just the end pieces of our lemon and our orange, because we want those essential citrus oils in the steamer too, and no use wasting them. So we'll kind of crush those up, drop them in, and then we'll have our steamer going. And while that's getting primed for action, we're going to go ahead and put our onions and parsnips up, and we're going to go ahead and prep these beautiful diver scallops that we have here. They take very little preparation. All we have to do is remove this little side muscle off the side of the diver. This is very chewy and belies the tender nature of the scallop. Very customary to take that off. Don't throw it away. Use it in your next clam chowder. It's a gorgeous piece of meat. We're going to take some of our truffle or white truffle salt. So this is the first time we're using white truffle in this dish. So Oregon white truffle salt with herbs, and we're just going to lightly salt these. We have some prosciutto here. We're going to get 3 pieces of prosciutto that we've cut and layered on this parchment paper to facilitate this process. So we've taken the prosciutto, and this is, now we pre-salted, so ready to go there, but we're going to take a toothpick and just pick the prosciutto through. And this is something we do at the shop, kind of fun. I'll pick 2 of them at the same time, come through on the third like this. And the reason I do that is now I've got, essentially, I look at it as a solid steak. Yeah. Instead of 3 individuals, I've got 1 solid steak. The steamer now is starting to make some rumbling. I think we've got something going in here. So we're going to start with the parsnips and the onion, and we'll add the hedgehog last. So we're actually going to cook these vegetables twice. First, the parsnips have a lot of sugar, and what they'll do is they'll caramelize very nicely in a pan, but their cooking times are different than the scallops. So I'm pre-cooking the parsnips to give them a little bit of a head start. Got the onion in the steamer. Again, I add a little teeny bit of olive oil to the pan here. I'm going to start the pan on low. Just make sure they're going there. And this is kind of the wild card today, is the Tobacco roe, which is the flying fish roe. And boy, look at the color on that. I mean, it's just, it doesn't look like, it isn't even real. So I'm going to drop those in, let those steam for a minute. I'm going to come back and check our scallops. We've got them together here, so they should turn really easy for us. We want to keep these a little on the rare side. That's a beautiful piece of seafood, and actually by cooking it, we've changed its flavor and texture. And we want to kind of keep a nice rare core in the center on that. And I might just out of habit take a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. Just hit the top of that thing. We're going to add a little teeny bit more olive oil because pretty quick we're going to be adding some root vegetables. The onions are limp. And we don't want to overcook these. The mushrooms have actually shrunk a little bit. So we're going to move our scallops off to one side. We're going to take the parsnips, onions, and mushrooms. I'm using a kind of a large fry pan here because I want you to see all of it. You could use a smaller pan and do it in steps, but this is kind of cool. And we're going to utilize the fond or the brown bits in the bottom of this pan for our sauce here in a few minutes. We're going to take our truffle salt again. Just lightly salt our parsnips, those beautiful hedgehogs, and a little yellow onion. Just going to borrow the rind from the lemon. Going to borrow a little of the orange rind. Slice our lemon for juicing. Going to take our orange. Take that orange. Set that out of the way. Kind of log cabin style. Plate that we're going to deglaze. We want that brown fond that's on the bottom of that pan. You can see it coming up now with just the lemon juice. A little bit of white wine. And that's pure flavor. This is the second application of white truffle to this dish, hence the name double truffle. I'm going to take a little bit of heavy cream. I tend to get on a kick, for a couple of weeks of certain flavors that I really attracted to, and lately it's been parsnips. I've had people come through and go, "Hey, those are rutabagas." No, they're parsnips. Very aromatic, very seasonally available here in the winter. And the small ones are my favorite because they're tender. The bigger they get, the more woody they become. So you picked up all this fond. We're just gonna do a quick salt check. Oh, got great flavor. We're just gonna take our butter, add it in here. We've actually made a little beurre blanc now. We've taken the wine and the little citrus juice, a little bit of cream, and the fond. We created this beautiful tan beurre blanc. A little fresh chopped parsley. Drop the arugula in. I'm going to take that arugula and kind of wilt it on the side. Rather than just arbitrarily putting something green on the plate, we've actually cooked something in there. We're just going to take that sauce, and this is called napping. The French call it napping. You're not exactly pouring it over the meat itself, but just around and framing it. You don't lose any of that stuff. Oh, it's beautiful. And the coup de grace, which we decided, our little wild card this morning, was we found these beautiful flying fish roe. And we're going to take a little bit of tobacco, just a little smattering of that on the top of each of these scallops. Not bad for 3 foragers on a Saturday morning, huh? Double truffle, diver scallops, and parsnips and cream. Shall we go eat these, Dan?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Let's go do it. There we go. We got so excited we forgot our citrus rind.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Let's go eat.
Let's do it.
So should I go ahead and open our cava? This is a Spanish sparkler, and we have to have the sparkler with that cream and tobacco It'll highlight the salts and fats in the dish. And I like sparkling wine because, specifically champagne, because it people tend to think of it as a celebratory beverage. I don't. I think it's a wonderful accompaniment for a lot of foods. The cavas are very economically affordable as opposed to some of the French true champagnes, so they can't call themselves champagne. It's a sparkling wine, as opposed to white wine would be a still wine. And bingo. Boy, that sound we just love to hear.
Oh yeah.
There we go. The cork. Dan the man put in a hard morning this morning following us around to the Saturday market, Fit Seafood. You deserve the first glass.
Well, thank you.
Nate's pleasure being on Living Culture again.
Oh, always a pleasure to have you, my friend.
We've had some clandestine morning culinary diversion lately, haven't we? And here today, we've got our double truffle scallops with parsnips and Oregon white truffle.
Beautiful.
And there you go. Your napkin, sir.
Okay. And
Tell us about the sauerkraut.
as a condiment, I brought some homemade sauerkraut. So we're talking red, green cabbage, a little carrot, onion, and garlic, and seasoned with sea salt. What did I use? Dill, basil, and cayenne pepper.
I think it's important to note that Nate drove around all morning with this on the dashboard of his car. And that's where I first saw it.
Don't tell people that.
Part of this aging process. Well, I don't know what the rest of Salem's eating, but we're living high on the hog.
Oh, yes.
To give us a try. I think with that first bite, with the sauce and the tobika and the scallop, it's just going to be phenomenal. That champagne will hit the salt in your mouth and just explode in a million tiny bubbles, just like stars. You know that the foraging was quite successful. We found the white truffles from Rex and from Mike, the truffle man at Fitz. Fitz turned us on to this really cool diver scallop, thanks to Rod, and it's quite a successful morning. And we had this all cooked and ready to go on the table by 10:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a brunch, huh?
Incredible.
Incredible.